Shavasti, can you speak about the concept of forgiveness and maybe about the illusion there is about forgiving?
Oh, absolutely. I'll be very pleased to speak about that. One of the issues with forgiveness, it's very woven into our religious traditions where we're implored to forgive people. Mm-hmm. We're even taught that if we're lucky, God will forgive us for our sins. That's very woven into Western Christian culture and into other parts of the world as well. This idea that there's this ultimate being, entity, who will forgive us for all of our failings and shortcomings. And so we're taught by our religion and we're taught in culture that we must forgive other people. Mm-hmm. But let's take a little step back there. What is forgiveness? Mm-hmm. Quite often a client will come to me and they will start by saying, "Oh, but I've forgiven my mother. Oh, but I've forgiven my father." Well, what do they mean by that? And who is it that bestows forgiveness? So often hidden within that is this avoidance of the loss and the pain. Because very frequently, the act of forgiveness, this act of bestowing forgiveness upon you. Notice how my body language is changing as I bestow forgiveness upon you. So I'm coming from this place of superiority. Mm-hmm. So I'm the good person forgiving the bad person. I'm the better person forgiving the worse person. I'm the conscious person forgiving the unconscious person. And so, especially within family constellation work, we're very, very alert to that. Also, if, let's say, your mother does something to hurt you, let's say abandons you, betrays you in some way, and she comes to you and says, "Please forgive me." That's very unfair when we ask other people to forgive us. The work of forgiveness is our own personal work. And so when we ask somebody else to forgive us, we're asking them to absolve us of our wrongdoing. And that's not their job. And that is not fair. It's not their job, and it's not fair. And so within the context of family constellation work, parents do not ask children for forgiveness, and children do not bestow forgiveness upon their parents. But in life in general, we need to be very careful in terms of using that word. What do we really mean? Mm-hmm. What we really mean is, I've come to peace and acceptance with what you have done. And with deep respect, I leave the consequences of what you've done with you. Mm-hmm. I no longer hold on to it. Mm-hmm. So forgiveness is an act of bestowing something upon someone else. For me, is really quite abhorrent. Mm-hmm. It's not even such a very hidden act of superiority. It's a way of distancing ourselves from the other person rather than really looking at, oh my goodness, what if what the other person, what they did is something really quite unspeakable? What if they murdered somebody? Mm-hmm. And so forgiveness takes place, and it becomes a moot point when we meet the other person as a human being. So let's say you murdered my brother, for example. Mm-hmm. If I really get into contact with, oh, what have you done to your soul? What if I feel compassion for all of the consequences? And perhaps the consequences are you're going to spend the next 30 or 40 years in jail, or in a different country, maybe even go to the gallows, or face an execution. And so that's me meeting you in my heart and having compassion for the consequences of your actions. Many people are afraid to forgive because they believe that that leaves the wrongdoer, it lets the wrongdoer off the hook. It doesn't. I'm meeting you in that place, and I'm saying to you, I understand the gravity of this situation. I understand the heavy weight of guilt that your soul now carries, and I bow to it with deep respect. And I still see you as a human being. And I see you as a human being that has very unfortunately brought suffering upon yourself. So do you hear any bestowing of forgiveness in any of that? You're actually hearing two hearts meeting as one. And then the word forgiveness becomes a mute point, because I've now just met you as a human being. I'm able to peacefully allow the law to take its own action, for you to move off to your destiny, no matter how difficult that might be, and I do so with great peace and respect. But if I'm really, really truthful, and this is really where forgiveness takes place, I will mourn for you. I will say, look what she did. Look what she's, not just look what she did to my brother when she murdered my brother, look what she's done to herself. Look at that, what she's done to herself. And so when I can find that place of even mourning for you, then the word forgiveness is lame and irrelevant. So I'm not a fond fan of the word forgiveness or even the act of forgiveness. It's about meeting people in the heart, and then it becomes a mute word and we don't have to practice it. It's a movement that naturally takes place when we live from an undefended heart. So that's what I have to say about forgiveness.
Thank you.